Hey everybody, I think I've got you all hooked up. I'm hoping we don't have any technical issues here online and starting to get some chats up and running here so that if any of you had anything to say, you can do that. Please tell your friends I'm on if they have an opportunity to come view too, because we're going to talk about raising kids who are porn-free, porn-resistant at least, with Planned Purity. And I'm so excited to be talking with you today in conjunction with Porn Harms because I'm a very strong advocate against pornography. It's my deep belief that the best way we can do something about porn proactively is to start by raising kids from the time they're very small to understand what it means to have a pure heart, to understand why pornography is dangerous, and to set them up so that they can refuse porn throughout their lives. There are a lot of awesome ministries and awesome organizations who are trying to eradicate porn on a number of levels. My personal effort is to be able to provide resources to parents that help them train their children to be non-consumers. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Maybe some of you know me already. If you've met me or you know of me, it's probably because of this book. Maybe you've heard of The Princess and the Kiss? It's a book about a princess who saves her kiss for a prince. Amazing story there that really kind of kicked off my whole effort in purity. I had a little girl come home from kindergarten and say, "Mom, all my girlfriends have boyfriends, and I need a boyfriend. Somebody already stole somebody's boyfriend." And that's really what woke me up to the whole issue of recognizing how young our children are being influenced to be thinking about adult relationships when they're not yet ready. That story, The Princess and the Kiss, actually came out of that event with my daughter. And 300,000 copies later, I'm still in awe of how many parents could relate to the fact that they wanted their daughter or son to save their kiss for when they were married, to save themselves for marriage. And in the book, it's a very non-threatening, fun story, and a lot of parents have really warmed up to it. It's amazing because I have so many parents say, well, they kind of run by my book table and say they're not ready for that yet, and I kind of spend my time running after them and saying, yes, they are, because a story is a great way to teach kids, and when kids have a story implanted in their hearts, they really carry that with them for the rest of their lives. And when you use a good story and take it layer by layer as a child grows to teach them about what the story is about, it can be really effective. The Bible is very much that way in that Jesus taught with parables, and I think these are very similar in the way that they teach. If you don't have the one for girls, you may have heard of this book, The Squire and the Scroll, for boys. And it's a similar type of approach, but not the same kind of story, much more adventure-driven with an evil dragon, and the boy has to overcome 5 quests which reflect the 5 doors of the heart, which is part of what I'm going to be talking to you about today. The book that I just came out with for parents is called Planned Purity for Parents. And this is the definitive book for a family situation, for a parent who wants to train children in a family who are going to be porn-free, who are going to be pursuing purity, who are going to be pursuing sexual integrity. And so I'm really excited about introducing the concepts in this book to you. One of the things that you're going to see as we go through this session today is that we use a house. I'll show you the picture in the book. It's this diagram right here. And we use that diagram to talk about how purity is built from foundation all the way up to the roof. And I'm going to show you how to do that today, and then you can get the book if you'd like to. The book is not just for reading, although I really hope it's a good read because I'm a children's author and I really hate the idea of writing something boring. But this is an adult book, a little bit different animal. But in the end of the book, there are a bunch of resources as well, like scripts and object lessons and things to memorize, just all the tools you could possibly imagine as a parent that you can apply throughout your child and family's life. There's some family contracts in there, all kinds of things that you can use in your family to be training kids to have every advantage to overcome porn, to overcome addiction of that sort, to be able to have a happy family and sexual integrity. So in portraying all of that to you, what I did was I kind of drew up my own little thing here I'm a very poor artist, can you tell? But it will help because you'll be able to see exactly what we're going through in the book and seeing how we're going to do that. So we have to start when we're talking about purity on every level, and this is the thing, is we got to have kids with pure hearts. If they have the right hearts, it's going to give them the right tools to be able to overcome porn. I keep looking at myself on the screen, then I look up here at the camera. Just forgive me, kind of new at this, but we'll get through it. So look at this picture here, and look at this as the foundation of a house. This is what we use in planned purity training when we talk about how purity is being built in a life. We have to start with the foundation, and the foundation is the definition of what purity is about. You know, so many people think of purity and they think of teens and they think of sex, but that isn't really an accurate definition of purity. Purity is not just about sex, and it's not just about teenagers. Purity is about the heart. It's about our heart condition. I mean, if you look at our nation, if you look at us as individuals, all of our problems, no matter where or what they're about, have to do with the condition of our hearts. And so we're looking at purity as not just staying out of the back seat of a car or making it to our wedding without getting pregnant, or, you know, no French kissing or whatever, but this is just about the fact that we need to have a good heart, and we need to define it that way so that we don't lose the full meaning of purity, because you can't learn it if you don't know what it is. Secondly, when I say it's not about teens, it is about every age group. Purity has to be pursued at every age, and this is one of, you know, my greatest efforts in looking at how we can use those years up to the teen years to prepare a child to embrace sexual purity and just keeping their mind clean as they grow. There's so many times where we're all, you know, hyped up about the teen years and the talk we're going to have, and oh my gosh, it's so hard when they're teens. But there's so many years prior to that when we can be introducing all kinds of material, not ruining the child's innocence, but getting them ready to be innocently pursuing sexual purity as they grow. And often we skip over those years because we think, we'll just get to that later. Those are those parents that I'm always running after with the books, you know, saying there's so much we can do right now. Let's do it, and let's give our kids every advantage. So that's the right definition. The definition of purity has to be that it's not just about teens and it's not just about sex. Now, as we get to the first floor of this house, like I said, I'm not the world's greatest artist, so hang in there with me. Ooh, I'm a bad writer too. Look at that. We have to look at the first floor of this house after we have our foundation solid, and the first floor is going to be about the heart. Yeah, can you read that? Sorta. And this is where I talk about the 5 doors of the heart. The 5 doors of the heart are where we start if we're training somebody really young, or if we're starting as an older person to really think about, well, how has purity been formed in my life, and what should I do from there? The 5 doors of the heart are nothing but the 5 senses. Very easy, you learned them when you were a kid, but it's just looking at them from the standpoint of each one of them being a door of the heart that you can choose to open or close to keep yourself pure. When I talk with young kids, I usually use some visuals, and we have a lot of fun with that. When I was a kid, I remember there was a solar eclipse, and my dad had a welding mask, and he used the welding mask with us so we could look at the solar eclipse, but we wouldn't burn our eyes. Now, it's the same thing when you talk about physical eyes and guarding them. It's the same thing, or the same concept, to say, well, how am I going to guard my eyes because they're a door to my heart? Well, of course, we make good choices about what we see, what we look at. And it's amazing how even the youngest kids have good ideas about what they should and shouldn't look at. You don't even have to really give them that much instruction, maybe because they see things all over the place and recognize that. But kids know when they're uncomfortable. And teaching them on that level is one thing, but we can also use the 5 doors with a teen or with an adult, as we say, well, what are you choosing to view? What are you choosing to put into your mind to form your thoughts? You know, porn is very formative, and so many of our children are learning about sex from porn because they're not hearing about it either from their parents or from church or whatever aspect. They're learning it from what they see on the screen, from the music videos they might watch, which can be out and out porn. You know, there's a lot out there that they're being informed by, and they are forming the way they think about women, the way they think about what is normal sex from what they see online. So guarding the eyes is really important, especially for our young men who are visually stimulated, but also for our young women, because they are deciding what a woman should be according to what they see. So we really want to be thinking about how to guard the door of the eyes. Now, if I talk to teenagers about the 5 doors of the heart, of course, I just start saying, you know, what kind of things are you watching when it comes to your TV, your movies, your music? How do you use your eyes to interact with someone? We can talk about captivating with eyes, but that seems like the least of our worries today. You know, how do you turn your eyes away when you see something that really is going to poison your belief systems and the way that you think about people, the way that you can overlook the fact that those people in those videos or in those movies are victims or are actors acting out things that, you know, we didn't used to allow even in public. There's some things to be said there and some things to be considered. So anyway, that's the door of the eyes. You look at the door of the ears, and of course we're thinking about what we listen to. When I talk with kids, often I'll use some earplugs, pink ones actually, that I have because I think they're cool, and talk about a friend of mine who's in an MRI machine and how you have to wear them to guard your ears. So the same way, with our ears, we have to consider what we're listening to and how everything that we listen to feeds into our heart, feeds into our mind, and eventually turns into some of our actions. You know, we start to act out of what we believe, and our beliefs are formed by what we're taking in through our eyes, through our ears. The door of the breath, we talk about the fact that all life is sacred, that we treat life in ourselves, we celebrate our own life and care for our own lives, but we also think about other lives and how we pour into those, whether it's being environmentally safe because we want to preserve the environment for all of us who live here, whether it has to do with babies and the moms who are caring for those babies, maybe single moms or moms who are really in desperate issues, even dads who are in desperate issues too. And whether it has to do with elderly people, disabled people, a cashier or a waitress, every single person deserves our respect. And that respect is certainly an important part as our kids grow up and try to decide how they're going to treat people, and especially in their sexual relationships, what kind of choices they're going to make. Going on from the door of the breath, we look at the door of the mouth. And in talking about the mouth, of course, everything that comes out of us is kind of what makes us dirty. When it comes to the door of our mouth, we want to be careful what we're saying, because we can actually create people with the things we say. We form them by what we say and what we notice about them. So with the door of the mouth, we want to be especially careful, because the mouth is a really hard thing to control. I think we can kind of all agree with that. And then the fifth door of the heart, of course, is a sense of touch, or the skin. We'd look at, you know, how do you treat people? Do you hit and kick them? You know, we say with a small child. With a teenager, we'd be talking about, well, how are you going to treat somebody physically? What does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with them? What does that have to do with the relationships that might evolve from there, or relationships that come before or after the times that you've been with that person? You see how this all just connects, and this is just the very first floor of that house, is thinking about what condition is my heart in, and how would I use those 5 doors of the heart to check my own personal condition. How am I as a person? And then we can move on to the second floor. And the second floor is where we start dealing with the body. And I'm not going to go into each detail of this today, but the body has actually 7 windows. 7 windows of opportunity, we call them. And those windows of opportunity have to do with things like focus. What are we focusing on? What we believe about relationships. All of these have to do with boundaries that we would set up to be able to decide where we're going to create limits for ourselves, especially when it comes to our sexuality. Where are we learning from? How are we educated? What do we believe with our kids as far as how they'll interact with boys or girls? There's a lot there that can be taught and can be straightened out in our own minds as we work through these things and decide what we're going to be teaching our kids. So many parents, I'll say, you know, if you're just planning to have kids, get the book, go through it, look at what you think. Because so many of these things are forming in our minds even as we're preparing to become parents. But anyway, as we work through the 7 windows of opportunity, it's about setting boundaries so that we have the heart in order, and then we have the body in order. Because everything that's in the heart is going to flow out into the life and into the actions. So there's lots of boundaries there, lots of discussion there, so many things that so many parents have different ideas on that we can compare and learn from each other. We don't all have to think the same way. Each one of us has our own thoughts about the standards we want to set in our households. But as we look at those 7 windows of opportunity, then we can plan strategies for pursuing purity in our own homes. And then we can kind of work those into some of the family contracts or different standards that we want to set for our families. I know particular families who have a family motto that they've even painted on the wall so that their family knows what they're all about. And all that feeds into just having a healthy heart and knowing where the boundaries are in a healthy home. Excuse me. So we start with a definition. We know that purity is about not just teens, not just sex, it's about the heart. We start by the first floor, looking at the heart and knowing how to keep these 5 doors of the heart clean and how to guard the heart open or close according to what we need or don't need. Then we look at the second floor, which is the body, the stuff of the heart being worked out into what we see on the outside. And this is a really important concept, how it gets from the heart to the body. Usually I use my favorite great big white cappuccino cups for a visual. And I'll paint the inside of a cup with this chocolate, make it look kind of muddy, and then I'll have another cup that I paint the inside and the outside. And the one that's clean on the outside, of course, you can see that it looks pretty good, but the inside there's hidden junk. And we're really good at appearances, obviously, all of us are. And if we don't keep the inside of that cup clean, eventually you're going to have the inside and the outside of the cup filthy. And that's the whole point. That's what we're trying to approach with planned purity, is starting from the inside and working out. That's actually taken from Proverbs 4:20 through 27, if you want to check that out. But that's what we're working towards. Now, we got a house so far with a foundation, a first floor, and a second floor, but there's something pretty important missing here. And that's the roof. Because if you don't have a roof, the rain's going to come and it's going to wash away everything that you've got in here. That's a major problem because you took a lot of time and effort to build all of that. So the roof is about accountability and mentoring. And no matter what age you're at, you need somebody that you can talk to. You know, as a small child, of course, a small child is going to need the parents. The school and the church and the organizations they're a part of are going to also play into that. How do those things affect who they're becoming and how purity is forming in the life? As we get older, we kind of choose that accountability or we set it aside. With our teenagers, it's a great thing to be able to have other people in their lives who can speak into their lives, because we kind of just get tuned out during the teen years. I think some of you probably know about that. And so we need somebody that our kids can go to and we can say, hey, you can talk about anything over there. Just make sure you get back with me if something is going on that I need to know about. But that trusted person who's also an adult can be very helpful. And as adults, we got to have somebody to be accountable, especially when it comes to pornography, because we've got to be able to know that somebody's going to ask us the hard questions. I know a lot of men struggle so deeply with this, so many men. And Covenant Eyes is one of the groups that's really good at providing the filters and the setup so that a guy can be accountable, and girls too, so we can be accountable. Pornography isn't just a men's situation, it has to do with women too. There are many women who are addicted as well. So Covenant Eyes, and not just an organization like that, but individuals that you know who can say, what have you been watching? What have you been doing? Have you lied to me about any of this? And you knowing that you can be really honest with them and seeing what's going on there with you, and having that person looking out for you and asking the hard questions. So that's the accountability factor. But there's still one part missing of this house, and this is my favorite part, because the last piece is really about grace. And it's a circle. Sometimes you'll see it in the book as like a yard drawn around the house right here. But grace is so important because I think we've got it in our heads that somehow we're going to do all this perfectly, that we've got to dot every I and cross every T. But it's really important to remember that life is a process. It's really important to remember that we learn by making mistakes. And that is true when it comes to our purity and our sexuality too. We're going to do things that are out of character for us sometimes. Our kids are going to fall into things sometimes that we didn't expect. And it's really important for us to recognize that there's a chance to start again. It's not the end of the world. If our child ends up getting pregnant, it's not the end of the world. There is going to be a baby involved, but we're going to go on and we're going to learn from that. If our little boy, if we catch him viewing pornography, I've had a lot of moms talk to me about this issue, and the fact that there is a choice to be made at that moment in whether we will shame that little guy by saying, "Oh my gosh, can't believe you're looking at that," or whether we will say, "You know, I can see that you're really curious about this, and that is normal. Let me talk to you about what it's important to do now, what it's important to understand, and what this is for." I know that's not easy. It's not, because this is so emotional, and we so want our kids to be okay. We so want them to be pure. We so want them to be the very best they can be. But it's so important that at that moment we make the choice to be gracious and to understand that they might have made that choice out of curiosity. They don't know. They've never seen it. Why do people take their first drink? Often it's because they've never had one before and they just want to try it. And sometimes that can lead to bad things, and sometimes it's just a test and it doesn't lead to anything. So all of us are learning, all of us are making choices, and so that grace factor is so important, not only in forgiving our children, but in not forgiving our children, but making sure that we're not, I don't want to say, we're not catching them, but we're rescuing them. But in the way that we model forgiveness and humility towards them, because we're going to make mistakes. And there are so many times when we tend to be hard on them, but forget that we're making some mistakes to ourselves. So I love the aspect of grace when it has to do with a parent asking a child's forgiveness. In fact, if you have a teenager you're really trying to talk to about purity and they seem really closed, one of the best ways of opening that conversation is to confess your own shortcomings to them. That's a great opportunity for them to see you model forgiveness, not forgiveness, remorse and humility, and being able for them to get that from you, because your life is a training video for them. You know, they have to see you doing it if you want them to do it themselves. And I'm not sure anyone's going to model it better than you as a parent. I mean, we as parents are the ones who've had these children put in our homes. We know them. We can have a lot of influence in our lives, no matter how tough your situation is with your child. If they're in the teenage years, they're still looking to you more than any other place to get their information. With Planned Purity, we're really trying to just encourage parents to be that source of information, and to the best of your ability, work with what you have and do the best that you can with it. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. Certainly not. There are so many times where I've thought, what am I going to do in a situation with my child? And I've had to sort it out just like you. And I've tried things and they've really stunk. And then I've tried something and it seems to have worked. So be kind of easy on yourself. I mean, don't be too brutal. Look at yourself and think about the things that you're doing right. But as a parent, recognize that there is a path to purity. There is a plan. There is a plan for purity that is so much better than a plan for parenthood that we hear so much about. There is a plan for parenthood. There's a better one. And so I'm glad to offer those thoughts to you today, and this approach to purity that we've provided. Again, this is the book. It's called Planned Purity for Parents. If you knew me before this broadcast, you probably knew me according to The Princess and the Kiss, which is this book for parents. No, for kids, sorry. This is the children's book. It has a princess that saves her kiss for a prince. I'm going to just revisit some of these things real quickly for anyone who's joined us late, and certainly I've got a chat open here. I've got some good comments here from people too, so I want to read you some of them. My husband is chiming in here and saying, our kids always do best when we are real people and treat them like real people. I think that's so true when it comes to the whole element of grace, is that we've got to look at our kids and go, these are real people, be informed with their authentic experiences and their authentic problems. And I agree. Authenticity is just such a great big part of what we're trying to teach in our home, and I hope you will too. Don Hawkins writes, your kids aren't bad and their lives aren't ruined if they've looked at porn. They need your help guiding them to help them understand. Yeah, that's a big one. Whoops. I just lost my thingy. Okay, I think I'm still on. I'm hoping so. I just hit the wrong button. That's my fault. Sorry about that. But anyway, so true is that I think so many of us feel like, oh no, it's over. What is going to happen? Getting my chat up here again. Sorry. But just because something like that happens doesn't mean that it's the end for your child. And I think that's That's so important for us to know, because we just think it's going to be over if we miss one thing, and that's not true. Just get up and keep going on. That's what I've been told so many times, is it's a matter of getting back up on your feet, getting cleaned up, and just marching onward. Don't let that stop you. I know when we think about the porn industry and being such a huge thing, of this huge evil entity that makes so much more money than all of our pro sports teams combined, we might think that's just impossible. There's no way to overcome it. But there's always been more hope in those situations than we think, when we take things into our own hands as individuals and say, I am going to do what I can do. I'm going to do something. And I can guarantee you that if you're a parent that's doing something, that's a good thing. You don't have to do everything. Just do something and start there. Again, I'm going to move back to the book and just kind of do a recap here. Some of you know me from The Princess and the Kiss, the book for girls. And there's some guys who like it too, and a lot of older girls like it too. It's amazing. I don't know if you've seen the pictures in here. They're beautiful, and they're by Preston McDaniels, who is a wonderful self-taught artist. Saving Your Kiss for a Prince, and then this one is the one for boys, The Squire and the Scroll, which talks about the 5 quests that the squire has to go to retrieve the lantern of purest light for the kingdom. Those 5 quests are based on the 5 doors of the heart, which I was showing you in our picture here. This is the household of purity that we kind of build in the Planned Purity book, with the definition, and then the 5 doors of the heart here. Those are the 5 quests in the Squire and the Scroll right there. So they're reflected. This is part of the training material that we offer. You're going to see, if you go to my website, which I'll give you in a minute, there's also a life lessons book where you can start early with the storybooks, which is our that's the way that we like to see them used ideally, is to start with a storybook, and then when the kids are 8 to 12, go through a life lessons book with them, which is a breakdown of the story and lessons that they can go through based on what they learned from the story when they were younger. They're going to learn Planned Purity concepts throughout that they're going to carry into their adult life as they grow and they begin to embrace sexual purity. But everything is given on the parent's level. The parent gets to say when we're going to talk about the sexuality part. That's not our business. That's you guys' business. That's you guys' job. Each one of us as a parent has got that job. And you know the right time to talk to your child about the nuts and bolts issues. We're trying to get you to a point where you can take your young child and have them absolutely ready to hear from you. I hope that's what we can accomplish. There's also a book for preschoolers. I don't have that with me right now, but that's a little booklet so you can start on a very simple level with your youngest child, some fun games and some ways to interact with them so they can learn the 5 doors and have fun with that at a very young age. Begin to develop that in their minds so that by the time they're getting into the storybook, they've kind of got it down up here and they're already connecting with that. The storybooks, the life lessons, and then the book for parents, which we've just been talking about as we went through the 5 doors of the heart and the whole household of purity, which is what this book is about. Again, it uses a diagram. The diagram is a house, and you're seeing it built throughout the book as we talk about the foundation, starting with the heart, going to the actions, getting that accountability to keep us safe, and then that circle of grace for all our mistakes, all the things that we're still learning. So Planned Purity for Parents is this is the definitive guide for parents who are training families in purity. I hope you'll take a look at it. If you go to my website at jennybishop.com, you'll be able to see, there you go, you'll be able to see any part of the book that you want to there. You can just click on the book cover and you can read a part of the Planned Purity book so you can get an idea of what exactly is in there if you'd like to. You can also order any of these books from jennybishop.com, and I would love it, I would really love it if you would be my friend on Facebook. Well, actually, if you would like my page. I have a friend page, but I also have an author page, and everybody who's using these resources, we're trying to get them gathered up on the Facebook author page so that they're able to compare notes and get 4 posts a day. All the posts are coming up to let us know, give us articles, statistics, information on porn, family, marriage, raising kids, anything that you can imagine. We were just really trying to encourage you and give you the resources you need so that your kids can have everything they need. Oh, I was just showing you the front of this. This is only part of the URL. It's so long. www.facebook.com/PlanPurity. And then this little thing on the back. $FREF = TS. I know there's probably an easier way to do this, but I don't have it figured out yet. Anyway, that's the whole URL for if you're going to my Facebook page. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you today. I hope you'll send me your questions, and we can chat for a little bit because I know we've still got some time left. I'm running pretty much ahead of schedule, so if anybody's got questions, I would love to add that for you. Oh, and then Dawn's got things posted if you're chatting, so you can get the information there too. Information on my website, jennybishop.com. If you're looking up any of the books, Jenny with an IE. That's the big thing to remember, is how to find me. And I hope that I can encourage you to just continue to do whatever you can when it comes to eradicating porn. I don't care if you're in a local convenience store and you take some time with the manager, maybe to just talk with them about the fact that you see some magazines out front that are really devastating to families. Give him the opportunity to make a different choice about that. That's one of the things that I encourage a lot of folks to do. Drawing up the different safeguards in your home life, whether it's teaching your kids to use online resources to review movies and know what kind of material is in them before they view, whether it's the boundaries that you're setting in your own home. Make every effort to do something to stop pornography, because it's destroying our nation, destroying our families, destroying our hearts. And that's the main thing that Planned Purity and my organization, PurityWorks, is about. We want to get back to preserving the human heart and making it thrive in each individual so that they can be respectful, they can be honoring, and they can do something that makes a real difference in the world as they pursue nobility and truth. Thanks again for the opportunity to be here with you today, and wear your white ribbon this week. Thanks.